All right, well, as you can see, you can't really see anything. Okay, there we go. So here's a look at the regional satellite and radar. It's going to rain here in about 5 minutes here in Fayetteville, so if you're outside, make sure that you go indoors because we have storms on the way. And so make sure that you stay away from the outside because it's going to be rainy and there could be some lightning. This is the area that we're watching. Maybe a few storms have a hail threat. Otherwise, it's going to be a relatively pleasant evening besides those storms. Severe weather threat on the way for tonight into tomorrow. Stay in tune for that in just a second. But while people around the state gear up for severe weather, some University of Arkansas students may not know what to do during severe weather emergency. How dorm staff plans for bad weather. Here's UATV's Josh Teeter live with the story. Josh. You probably can't hear it, or maybe you do. There's a lot of rain coming down on the studios right now, and that's because we have energy for storms moving in tonight. So a round of thunderstorms tonight, maybe some hail producers, but widespread severe weather is not anticipated. But take a look at this. This ginormous system of energy is what's going to bring that severe weather threat tomorrow. Here's a look at what the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting. Jonesboro, Memphis, and eastern Arkansas and western Tennessee. If you know anyone in these areas, let them know severe weather is possible, including an outbreak of significant severe weather. For northwest Arkansas, we're still watching the parameters for tomorrow. We are currently in the slight risk, but keep in mind, it is a weather alert day. This is going to be early morning through midday, so you're going to start off the day with a severe weather threat, so have those ways to receive warnings and alerts. So moving on, here's a look at the risk days that I have here for northwest Arkansas. Like we said, tonight, low risk. Tomorrow is that weather alert day. No risk through the weekend, low risk Monday. And then another potential significant system moves in on Tuesday. And I don't say that lightly. We're seeing parameters for potentially a higher end severe weather risk once again. It's just spring. And like I said, don't say that lightly. It's just something that we have to be watching. So we'll look at that. Speaking of which, here's a look at that outlook area. Or actually, here is the Northwest Arkansas Weather Alert Day safety protocol. So make sure you have ways to receive alerts tomorrow, overnight, into tomorrow morning. Like we said, severe weather is going to start off the day early. Make sure that you know where to shelter in the event of a warning. Go back to that story just a little bit ago if you're wondering what to do on campus. And then hail is possible. So, of course, park your car in a covered garage tonight. So that's a look at what we've got there. In addition to that, make sure you follow me on social media. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's at JWWX225 on all those platforms. And the reason for is I get a little bit of time to tell you about this. I don't get to cover the storms as they're happening live. So make sure that you follow me for the latest updates. There's another flash for lightning. So if you're outside, especially for you reporters who are coming up in just a second, make sure that you're staying away from all this rain and lightning. This is going to continue for the next little bit. Stay tuned for that extended forecast here in just a little bit. All right, welcome back, folks. So severe weather is possible tonight. That's why the red tag is there. Weather alert day tomorrow. Keep in mind, it's going to be early to midday tomorrow, so have those ways to receive alerts. And then, like I said, I don't take this lightly. Tuesday looks to be a fairly significant system. We're keeping a close eye on it. The forecast could change, so it's no reason to worry right now, but something to watch. Storm Prediction Center has an enhanced risk 6 days out, and they don't typically do that. So we're keeping an eye on this. Here's a look at the rest of your 7-day forecast. Like I said, stay tuned for the latest. Now back to the news desk. I have a look at your forecast. The allergies are on the rise, the temperatures are, and the severe weather threat. All that in just a little bit, but UATV starts right now. All right, welcome back. Here's a look at that severe weather threat that I mentioned for tomorrow. Keep in mind it isn't the most significant severe weather threat we've ever seen, but it is something to be keeping a close eye on. Notice here's the cold front. We're watching potential for 2 rounds of storms. And what I mean by that is you have prefrontal supercells potentially during the afternoon, and then a line of storms will eventually fire up along that cold front. So I'm going to show you, here's a look at the severe risk for Fayetteville. And as you can see, we are in a 1 out of 5 severe weather risk. It's going to be a lot like our last couple of setups we've had here in northwest Arkansas, where we're waiting to see if that instability and moisture makes its way into the area at the last minute. So stay tuned for details during the afternoon tomorrow, but we are at a 1 out of 5 in Fayetteville. Slight slightly better to the south in the river valley. So here's a look at the Futurecast radar. Notice here's 4 p.m. and as you can see, there's those prefrontal supercells that we'll have to be watching. They are not going to be scattered, but they're going to be isolated, and we're going to have to be watching these. Here's a look at 5 o'clock tomorrow, and as you can see, that's when those storms eventually make their way into the area. So we're thinking between at least 3 and 6 o'clock tomorrow is when those storms will make its way into the area. Here's a look at those risks that I have for northwest Arkansas. Tornado risk is low. We're still keeping an eye on that risk, but hail, damaging winds, and even some flash flooding cannot be ruled out. So here's a look at those risks. Now I'm going to show you. Weather alert day tomorrow. What does that mean? We'll have ways to receive alerts. Make sure that you stay tuned to the forecast and you're weather informed tomorrow. If you're on campus, here's a look at the shelter guidelines. Just in the event that we see any type of severe weather that you need to take shelter. Notice you'll have to be looking for these signs for storm refuge. Keep that in mind and make sure that you stay away from doors and windows if we have that hail in the area. So keeping a close eye on that forecast. Stay tuned for updates. Make sure you tune in for my full extended 7-day forecast in just a little bit. All right, welcome back. Here's a look at that forecast I mentioned. Weather alert day tomorrow for Thursday. That's an 80% chance that we see showers and storms. Not all of them are going to be severe, but just be aware of that threat. It is going to be a chilly start to the weekend if you have any plans or if you're staying in town for your spring break. And then we are going to start seeing a gradual warm up by midweek next week. I'm going to stamp out of the way real quick so you can see the rest of the forecast. And now we're going to send it over to the news desk for question of the day. It's going to be a chilly night tonight, but we have thunderstorms also on the way. Take a look. Overnight, we're going to be in the 30s from a system that's going to bring us thunderstorm and even some severe weather chances tonight. Stay tuned for the full severe weather outlook tonight in just a second. Folks, we have a look at that severe weather threat I mentioned. There's been a threat for most of this afternoon with storms that we've seen. We've seen some showers, we've seen some thunderstorms, but overall that severe weather threat is going to continue at least for the next couple of hours through at least 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. As you can see, Fayetteville basically split between both of these timelines. Stay weather alert tonight, just because this is another one of those pesky systems where we're going to be watching. There's going to be a last-minute surge of moisture and instability into the region, and with that, this is basically a down-to-the-last-minute forecast. So there's a chance we see severe weather. There's a chance we just see widespread rain and nothing at all. It's just one of those deals that we want you to know there is a risk. Stay tuned for it. And, have ways to receive alerts just because that risk is in place. Overall, here's a look at that severe weather risk for northwest Arkansas. Basically, along I-40 for Fort Smith, the River Valley, and into Oklahoma. That's where we see that 2 out of 5 slight risk. And like I said, because of the lack of predictability with that last-minute surge of moisture and instability, Fayetteville is in a 1 out of 5 marginal risk. But it's still a risk that you want to be aware of just because there's a chance for severe weather, and it is, right before spring break. People aren't paying attention to the weather, so make sure that you stay alert to the forecast. Here's ways you can stay weather alert across northwest Arkansas. Have ways to receive alerts, whether that's a no weather radio, weather alert app on your phone. Make sure that you can also get text services and turn on the alerts that are already built into your phone. That's in your settings, so make sure you turn those on. Because there's a hail risk, know where to shelter your car in the event of a hail risk in the garages, just because there is that threat in place as well. And if you're on campus, here's a look at the sign that you should look for in your building. So if you're not sure where to go in the event, let's say a tornado were to occur either tonight or just in general over the spring, look for these signs to seek refuge from a tornado, and you'll get an alert from Alert as well. So that's a look at what to do in the event of severe weather. Stay tuned for that full extended 7-day in just a little bit. All right, here's a look at that extended forecast I mentioned. As you notice, for today, weather alert day, before we see a chilly start to your spring break weekend. We're going to be in the mid to upper 40s as we head into Sunday. Slight warm up by Monday. As you can see, we're going to be in the low 50s, eventually into the upper 50s. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see the full extended forecast. We'll eventually be in the 60s once again by Wednesday, but with a warmer temperature trend that also brings additional thunderstorm chances. So that's a look at your forecast. And now we're going to throw it back to the news desk. I have a recap. We had some winter weather across the area earlier, and a pretty nasty severe weather episode might be on the way. All that and more in just a second, but right now, UATV starts. Well, thanks, Josh. So that's one of the reasons I love weather, is it's constantly changing. 1 minute it's raining, then it's sunny, and then today we have this surprise graupel. So if you saw these ice particles, it wasn't hail. It's a lesser known winter precipitation that's ice. It's called graupel, and I'm going to show you the comparison between hail and graupel. This is what graupel looks like compared to hail. Now there's a sizable difference, as this is almost a 3-inch hailstone. So I'm going to show you how this forms in the next slide. Here's a look at how graupel is formed. This is taking a look 0.6 miles, almost 1.5 miles into the atmosphere, and almost 2 miles. And as you can see, freezing particles start up here in the upper levels of the atmosphere, almost 2 miles up. It's in freezing conditions. It falls to above freezing. Then it hits the surface. Typical for winter precipitation, like sleet, freezing rain, you name it. The only difference is this is what a snowflake, it condenses to other water droplet particles that superfreeze in the upper levels of the atmosphere. They reach the above freezing, and then it becomes this soft type of particle once it gets closer to the surface. So it's not like a solid piece of ice. Now here's a look at what we see with hail. It's completely different. We're talking a thunderstorm updraft suspending a frozen water droplet in the mid-levels of the cumulonimbus cloud for quite some time. It starts bouncing around other particles, and when those particles bounce around, they come together, they form into a bigger mass of ice. When that particle becomes so big, it's able to fall through that violent updraft and make it to the surface, and that's when we get those big hailstones. As it becomes so large, it has nowhere else to go except down. So that's a look at some of the scientific breakdown. Here's another look at what we've got with the big difference. Now, friendly particle is going to be more of a dipping dot. It's softer, and it's a lot more gentle when it hits the ground compared to a not friendly frozen rock that can damage houses. It can even potentially be deadly if it's larger in size. So that's the difference between both of those. Speaking of hail, that severe weather threat's around the corner coming up for Sunday, and here's a look at what we've got. The Storm Prediction Center updated us into parts of the slight risk. As you can see, northwest Arkansas is now in the yellow. Just slightly to the west is that red shaded enhanced area. That's not too far from us. So I am concerned that that severe weather threat may continue to increase for our area. So here's a look at the progression that we're going to be talking about for Sunday into Monday. Here's a look at that dry line. It's going to be extending from North Texas into northern Oklahoma. And take a look at this. There's going to be a line, but it's not as solid as it was yesterday. What does that mean? Well, if we get any broken areas of this or any cells ahead of it, that means that they could be supercells. And we're talking that would be the large hail and even a tornado threat. Overall, if we do see a line, we're talking damaging winds of up to 80 miles an hour and embedded QLCS tornadoes being a threat. So we'll show you that progression here as it gets closer into Fayetteville. This is closer to around 2 a.m. with this current model. There's a lot that's going to change, so stay tuned with my social media. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JWWX225 for the latest updates. Coming up in just a little bit, I'll have that full extended forecast. All right, welcome back, folks. Here's a look at the extended forecast. I'm still concerned for that risk Sunday, so keep in mind this is going to be potentially a nocturnal setup, and what I mean by that is Sunday night into early Monday. So before then, make sure you have ways to receive alerts, because I'm not going to be on the air for then, but I'll be on social media for the updates. Make sure you follow me at JWWX225, and make sure before you get into the weekend, have ways to receive alerts. Stay alert to the forecast because it's changing, and then stay tuned for any other updates because, like I said, forecast is changing. Severe weather is going to be Sunday into Monday. Next rain chances before that storm system will be Friday night into Saturday. That's a look at the extended forecast. We're going to throw it over to the news desk for question of the day. It's cloudy and it's windy outside, but other than that, we don't have any sort of weather complications severe weather-wise. That may not be the case for tomorrow, so stay tuned for that forecast in a bit. But for tonight, we're going to be in the 70s by 8 o'clock, where we'll be lowering into the upper 60s. That cloud coverage will help us to stay kind of insulated, so we'll be in the lower 60s for lows overnight tonight with mostly cloudy skies. Here's a look at that lows across the area for overnight tonight with a 20% chance of rain. There's storms in Oklahoma City. They make their way to the northeast. They will be on a weakening trend, but some of our western areas could see maybe an isolated shower. Overnight tonight, our lows are going to be around 62 as well, so it's going to be mild. And then tomorrow, that means storm chances are on the way. But before then, here's a look at the allergy index. If you're suffering from any sort of allergy complications, unfortunately, tree pollen is still at a high, and our types are sweet gum, oak, and maple. So we still got this going on, but stay tuned for the extended forecast here in just a minute. All right, well, we have a risk for severe weather tomorrow, like I mentioned. It's going to be tomorrow. The risks are going to be primarily large hail, damaging winds, and a low but not zero tornado threat. So unlike some of those bigger outbreaks we saw, this is going to be more of the damaging wind threat and hail threat like we saw just a couple of days ago. So stay weather alert tomorrow, and then like we mentioned last time, there's a chance that Fayetteville may see storms. There's a chance that we get entirely missed by it as well. We just want you to be aware that there is a risk. So here's a look at the overall risk from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow across northwest Arkansas. Notice that we are in a marginal risk. I'm still staying alert just because there is the potential that the cells fire up basically in northwest Arkansas and then further to the east where they will rapidly intensify. So I'm keeping the severe parameters in our area even though the risk is low. Here's a look at the overall timing for tomorrow for the areas basically clipping extreme northwest Arkansas. That's when we're talking between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. But for Fayetteville, we're split down the middle basically between 1 and 9 p.m. tomorrow. So stay weather alert. Here's a look at the Futurecast radar and why I'm concerned. This is 1 o'clock tomorrow from the HRRR model. Notice all these cells. These will be capable of large damaging hail up to 2.5 inches. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. That's 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then here's a look at 3 o'clock tomorrow as well. Notice all these cells in the Fayetteville area all the way down into the River Valley. That's what we're going to be watching for tomorrow severe weather-wise. In addition to that, here's a look at the heavy rainfall across the area. We could see up to 2 inches of rain in some areas, so all types of severe weather look possible. Stay weather alert tomorrow. Have ways to receive warnings. Stay tuned for my extended 7-day forecast in just a little bit. Here's a look at my 7-day forecast across northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas weather alert day tomorrow just because we have the risk for some severe thunderstorms across the area with large hail. Other than that, beautiful weekend ahead. And then eventually on the horizon for next week, additional rain chances look to return Monday through Wednesday. So we're keeping an eye on the forecast. Stay tuned for more information and check back for my forecast tomorrow. On the storms earlier and the potential for more storms later tonight. All that and more in just a second. UATV starts right now. And I tell you what, even though we didn't see a whole lot here in Fayetteville, it was a pretty active afternoon across the region. Here's a live look at the regional view. The cold front is starting to move through northwest Arkansas. That means storm chances are diminishing for us, at least in the severe weather realm. For the remainder of eastern Arkansas, central Arkansas, into the Little Rock area, that's when a severe thunderstorm warning is going to continue to be in effect for the next couple of hours. Here's a look at those active warnings across the region. As you can see, areas in the pink on the next slide I'll show you is where we have the severe thunderstorm watch in effect, and that is until 8 o'clock tonight. So here's a live look at the NextRad Doppler radar across the region. This is giving us more of an isolated look across the region. That cold front's right here. Some heavier thunderstorms off to the east, even down towards the Little Rock area. Further to the south is where we have additional thunderstorms. Those can all be capable of severe weather, but thankfully, especially for northwest Arkansas, as that cold front moves through, we're starting to see that watch getting knocked out of the counties here in northwest Arkansas. So no watch for us here in Fayetteville, but we still have some lingering showers and thunderstorms across parts of the area. So moving on, here's a look across the area of some of the reports that we saw. We did see close to 1-inch hail south of Fayetteville and to the east of Fayetteville there as well. Further to the north and east, that's when the hail reports were getting a little bit larger. We were talking up to ping pong ball to golf ball size hail up in the Berryville area earlier. So like we said, wasn't active here in the severe weather realm, but it was active for a large portion of the area earlier this afternoon. And then we could see additional thunderstorms in the area later on. I'll show you that here in just a second. But in the meantime, here's a look at the forecast for this evening. We're going to be lowering into the mid to lower 50s as we head into the midnight hour. Some showers and storms are possible. Widespread showers and storms do not look likely in northwest Arkansas, so we're going to still see those cloudy skies. Northwest winds around 5 to 10. Stay tuned for more of the forecast in just a minute. All right, welcome back. Here's a look at the weather. I mentioned there could be possibly additional showers and thunderstorms this evening. Fortunately, these are not going to be severe, but I am watching this area. This is the HRRR model. Notice down near Fort Smith, there's additional showers and potential thunderstorms developing later on tonight. The models have been okay with the projections, but we still have to keep in mind there could be additional showers across the area with wraparound precipitation from the system. Start watching that. This is 8 o'clock. I'll show you. Here's 10 o'clock with the next slide. Notice additional showers and storms in the River Valley. Some of those could be strong, but we're not really anticipating a severe risk, maybe some gusty winds of 35 to 40. And then here's around midnight, as you can see across the region, a lot of that activity will continue to push off to the east. So basically, we'll be done around midnight tonight, and then the remainder of the night, we're going to be expecting some clouds, some calm weather, and some chillier temperatures. In fact, here's a look at the forecast for tonight. Our low in the morning tomorrow is going to be around 46 in Fayetteville, 50 in Fort Smith, 45 in Siloam Springs. Tomorrow's going to be chillier than today as well. Not cold, but as you can see across the region, we are sitting at around 68 for the high tomorrow, partly cloudy to partly sunny skies off and on throughout the day as well. So it is going to be cooler, but it's not going to be ridiculously cold like what we were seeing a couple of months ago. So calmer weather's on the way, but additional showers and thunderstorms could be on the horizon. Stay tuned for the full 7-day forecast here at the end of the show. All right, folks, here's a look at my 7-day forecast across the area. We had that weather alert day. Take a look at this. Many of you are not going to be excited for this. We have 35s for a low Saturday night into Sunday. So it's going to be chillier. Then additional rain and thunderstorm chances are on the horizon Monday through Wednesday. Some of those could be severe, but it's too early to say. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. Now back to the news desk for question of the day. I have a recap of those storms this morning. I have a photo of something that we all missed this morning. Hit that recap, the full extended forecast in just a second. Mentioned that we missed something here in Fayetteville this morning. This was around 5 a.m. Pulled an all-nighter, was trying to look and see if we could see any storms, and we did. This was a wall cloud that went over the campus early this morning. As you can see, we had the base and then the lowered wall cloud right here. This went over campus and potentially went on to move to a tornado just to the northeast of us. And here's a look at that structure, like I mentioned, the base and then the wall cloud. So we missed a bunch of nasty storms. To say that it was a blessing is kind of an understatement. Conditions were favorable for potentially strong to violent severe weather. And fortunately, all we saw was potentially quarter-sized hail. The saving grace was the cold front catched up to the storms, undercut those, and also our cap. Here's a look at that cap, that dry, sinking air meeting the warm, unstable air that's rising. It prevents those from mixing with the cold air aloft. Usually when those two airs mix, it leads to explosive storm development, but that acts as a lid to prevent the storms, and that prevailed overnight. So thankfully we had that cap, and it prevented potentially dangerous storms. Full look at your Easter weekend coming up in just a little bit. All right, we got through the storms. Now here's a look at the forecast for tonight. It is going to be chilly. We're talking in the low to mid-30s for your low tonight across northwest Arkansas with mostly clear skies. So it's going to be chilly, and it's going to be chilly for the start of your commute to classes tomorrow. So make sure that you bring a jacket just because it is going to be cooler. For tomorrow's highs across the region, it's going to be another beautiful day, slightly chilly. We're talking highs in the lower 60s for the area. So enjoy the rest of your day tomorrow. Here's a look at that Easter forecast across northwest Arkansas. We're expecting a warming trend. 75 should be the high on Easter with mostly sunny skies. 20% chance for maybe an isolated shower or two. Other than that, it's going to be a beautiful Easter holiday. Here's a look at the outdoor planner. If you're planning to do anything outdoors this weekend, it is going to be the perfect weekend. Chilly temperatures today, but other than that, it was going to be a beautiful day. And then if you have any sort of plans, Friday through Sunday, I hope you enjoy the outdoors because it is going to be close to perfect. Stay tuned for the full extended forecast here in just a little bit. All right, welcome back. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Like I said, we got through the severe weather. It is going to be a beautiful next 7 days with a warming trend. Take a look. We're going to be in the 80s by early next week, above average temperatures. Unfortunately, hopefully, that doesn't lead to more storm chances later in the week. However, for now, for your Easter weekend, it's going to be beautiful, warming trend. And then, like I said, 75 is going to be the high for Easter. So I hope you enjoy the outdoors this weekend. Now back to the news desk.